defense. He's allowed that to fester in between the team. And it's fine, Skip, as long as you're winning, winning will mask a lot of things. But when you start to lose, and we started to see this win, Skip, after Super Bowl 49, we never heard of this kind of outburst coming out of that locker room until that night. And then we see it. We see offensive players go and tell the head coach, you will not call that play again. You will not sacrifice our hard work. Pete Carroll have allowed this to go, Skip. So you know if I criticize the head coach or a coordinator or my position coach, I got no problem chastising a teammate publicly. Now, Skip, have I been critical of teammates? Absolutely. But I tell them to their face. I didn't, go public with it to the newspaper. Obviously, we didn't have social media when I ended my career. But I would tell the guy, that's not good enough. We can't win with that type of effort. We can't win with this type of practice habits. I would tell the guys, be it offense or defense, I felt as a leader that was my job. But to publicly do it, and then Bobby Wagner go on Twitter and say, bro, keep my name out your mouth? He said mouth. I'm telling you what he said behind closed doors. He probably told him, bro, you need to keep my name out your dentures. Skip, this is not good. And I said it that night. I said it will never, ever be the same. Skip, I can barely remember anything from the Super Bowls that we won. I can tell you every single play from that division loss to Jacksonville. It's not the wins that you remember. It's the losses that you agonize over. Because, Skip, you think about it, what they did. They went, in 2010, they drafted Russell Okung, they got Earl Thomas, and then they got Richard Sherman, and then you got Bobby Wagner, and then you got K.J. Wright, and then you got Russell Wilson. You had a stretch there. Now you got something, Skip. You've identified your quarterback, and all your key players are on rookie contracts. You had a chance. You want to be special, and that's what Mike told us after we won. Mike Shanahan, our head coach. He said, guys, if you want to be special, you got to do it again. Because there have been a lot of teams that's won one in a row. Running a row don't make you special. If you want to be thought of like the Steelers and the Cowboys, Skip, that's how the 49ers, the Dolphins, the 72-70, you got to do this thing. And Skip, they had a golden opportunity, and it's never going to be the same. It looks to me from the outside looking in, as a former player that's played this game and studied this game, this is the beginning of the end. Because most empires and dynasty, they fail from within.
They do.
It wasn't because of what somebody did outside. It's because of what happened. The decay started on the inside. And you're seeing it right before our very eyes.
They sure looked special that night. They destroyed your Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning, didn't they? That was that was as big a wipeout. It may be the worst, most one-sided Super Bowl I've ever seen. Maybe not in score, I can't remember, but it was complete annihilation.
Well, the 49ers said the Broncos 55-10. They said, hey, hold my beer.
But this was over from the first snap of the game.
First third down. Whoop, whoop.
I'm with you. I blame Pete Carroll, but I do not condemn Pete Carroll because he created a player-first culture. A player speak your mind culture. He encouraged it, and it really, really, really worked for a while. But it was ill-fated because if it starts to teeter onto the other side, and then something started to happen on offense because the team was built around the Legion of Boom, and those are big personalities with big game to back it up. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes this little third-round draft pick playing quarterback. And he starts getting better and better and better. And now he's starting to look like, wait a second, he might be the best player on the team, right? And it comes to the flashpoint. The turning point of the franchise is that final play of the Super Bowl. And Pete Carroll put the ball in the hands of the quarterback. Not in the hands of a team leader. In fact,
Marshawn.
Was he the team leader? He might have been.
I think Marshawn had more cachet in that locker room than Russell.
Too.
Especially at that time.
Way more than Russell. I'm talking about, did he have more than Richard or Cam?
He was the guy. Beast mode.
He was the guy, right?
Because they remember that rumble, Skip, that shook the whole place when he ran through like 12. There were only 11 guys. Saints. They remember that. That got them energized the way he ran. No question about it.
And it reminds me a little bit of your 2000 Ravens. You won with your defense. It was Ray Lewis and company.
But
big play Shea is going to make one play, but the quarterback was not a star.
Right. We had Jamal that was going to run hard, get us 100 yards, just like he was our beast mode.
He was.
You make the one play and turn it over to your defense.
But there was no clash between the quarterback and Ray Lewis's defense because the quarterback went along for the ride.
Exactly.
Was it always?
Trent.
Was it Trent all the way?
Started that as Tony Banks.
Tony Banks.
And then went to Trent Dilfer in week 8, I think.
How
week
quickly
8
we forget because nobody really cared. He just was a sort of a caretaker of the offense.
Correct.
Just he's going to game manage you to get you home.
Right.
And you only need what's Ray always say? You just needed 6, right? Give us 6 points.
Give us 7 points early and don't turn it over. And they won't beat us.
You got this. So again, I didn't have a big problem with the call. I would have called a different play. I would have rolled Russell out. I don't have I don't have a problem with keeping the ball in Russell's hands because he is an electric little player, man.
But you wanted a run pass option. You'd have done a run pass option.
Yeah. And yet, I'm going to remind everybody, beast mode from the 1 yard line during the regular season had carried the ball 5 times and gotten stuffed 4 times. So I don't know if Pete Carroll and Darrell Bevel, the offensive coordinator, are aware of that stat, but whatever, they're thinking we want the game in the hands of our clutchest player, and it's the little quarterback. Is he not clutch now?
Yeah, he was.
I mean, and he was then.
But Beast Mode had run hard that night.
I got it. And for team psyche and camaraderie and unity, you want the leader to have the ball in his hands.
And that's what they're about. They were about smash mouth.
Yeah, smash mouth.
Defense, they smash you. Offensively, we hand the ball to Beast Mode. He rumbles through, and everybody lives happily ever after. But that's not how it happened.
Nope.
And I think the defensive players hold it against Russell because they say, Russell, you were a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You should have the cachet to say, no, let's run this football. Even though he didn't call the play, they hold him accountable because he could have easily said, no, let's run the ball.
And there was some conjecture in the locker room, as I recall, that Pete Carroll wanted Russell Wilson to get the MVP and not Marshawn. Right?
Yes.
And all of a sudden, implosion began.
Yep.
And I don't think Russell is beloved in the locker room. He seems to be respected, but he's not one of the fellas, especially the defensive side of the ball. So they seemed a split team where it was defense plus beast mode against the rest of the team.
Well, here's the thing, though, Skip. Most of those guys came in, they weren't married. Russell Wilson came in, he's married. So he's already in a different place. Okay, he goes through what he goes through. Now he's dating a celebrity again. Now he's remarried. So there was really no part in time where he could really be with the fella because you're married, you're in a different place than a guy that's single.
Yep. So, predictably, as happens in the National Football League, attrition took over. And all of a sudden, Richard Sherman's hurt, and Cam's hurt, and it starts to implode, and it goes all the way down to what we just saw get tweeted from one player to another. Well, isn't this predictable? Isn't this the culture that got set up in the first place?
Yes, but I would have never thought the way that defense, because you remember when Richard Sherman was going bonkers on the sideline, it was the defense that rallied around him and they bouncing up and down like, Richard, we got you. We with you, bro. We with you. And to see Bobby tweet that, and Earl was just like saying, hey, Wags gave us all he could. But maybe he just stayed a couple of plays too long because that's not the Wags we used to see. And we used to see a guy go.
I understand that, but you cannot say
no,
that.
No.
Nope.
Because you already know. Hey, Bobby, did you see what Earl said? Earl said you should have been out there. Or you should have came out earlier. You know, we got to turn. Hey, Skip, you know, we got to add a little use to that thing. We got to get that thing to rise, Joy. Because if we just say Earl Thomas said you were a little Nick, and you know maybe you know that won't do it justice. I got to add a little something. I mean, Earl Thomas said, you know, hey, you kind of hurt the team, and maybe the backup could have done just as good as you. Oh, he said that?
By the way, during the Rams game, I got one eye on the Seahawks defense, and I'm thinking, Bobby Wagner, who you said is better than Sean Lee, where is he? What's he doing? I didn't know he had a hamstring. So I was preparing to come in here and give you the business about Bobby Wagner, and Earl gave Bobby Wagner the business before I could even do it. But there's a legit excuse.
But guess what, Skip? Richard Sherman's coming off an Achilles injury. Cam Chancellor, we're starting to see injuries happen to him with greater regularity.
Well, he's a high collision player.
Exactly. Earl Thomas. Remember, Earl had the shoulder, then he had the broken leg, injuries. So, and that's what happens, Skip. You guys get older. It's not the same. You know, we winning, I'll tolerate old bad joke. We losing, I don't want to hear no joke. Don't be telling no joke, bro. I'm trying to hear that anymore.
It does feel like, despite all the personalities and leaders that are in that locker room, there isn't one voice right now keeping this together.